Welcome back to the NAL Playday 4 with our second best of one of today. We have Envy going up against SSG, and this truly is an insane matchup to be looking at because we're looking at Envy that is currently sitting at the top of the leaderboard, and this is the slot that SSG had last stage. But they are now flipping the script because they're at the bottom, which is a little bit of a sad position to be in.
Yeah, I mean, the tables have definitely turned. I mean, Envy, 10th place at the end of last stage, where SSG was at the top, now completely role reversal. Envy sitting at the top where SSG is at the bottom. I would have never thought this was going to happen, but hey, this should be a good matchup.
It should be.
Should, hopefully.
Absolutely. Hopefully. First roster that we're going to be looking at will be Envy. And this is a roster that they made a change and we're like, okay, how's this going to look? What's going to happen? And if anything, it's paying dividends.
Oh, yeah. Aiden's been absolutely tremendous for the team. He's been a big part of why they've been so successful. But I really want to contribute yesterday's success on the shoulders of JJ Blast, just because of his problem-solving ability, the way he's been able to fix things for Envy. I feel like he's been really coming into his own as a rookie IGL, and he's been just that player that he was so scary yesterday that Standby had to ban all three shields to pretty much counter him specifically. He was in their heads.
Yeah, and Envy as well has been really good at denying the plants specifically for their opponents, which is just another thing added to that list that makes them so scary.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it goes down to, is the IGLing and just the game plan of plant denial. They're not worried about time. Look at everyone playing very passive. Why? Because we have the Echo drone. Everyone is staying alive, stalling the timeout, because we know the Echo is the last resort. And this is something that, you know, even veteran teams struggle with because the time gets really close. And to have this much trust in your Echo player is something that some teams definitely struggle with. But look, nobody's making a move until the Echo goes for that denial, and that's when we see a push come out to be able to protect the Echo. And then on to the last round. I mean, the denial didn't go in planned. It's okay. Envy's definitely learning. The plant goes down for Standby. That's Chanka does not hit any of the fires. Standby falls back, but what does Envy call? A two-man split, 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. But this is the genius of it. The 2 upstairs players know that they don't need to get the kills. They actually just stay alive after flanking up white stairs. They're maintaining this position, focusing both Standby players to watch for the flank. As JJ Blast is breaking it down, that's exactly what he was doing after they retake this site, because the 2 players in site are able to go for the defuse, get the pick on the downstairs player, and again, the players upstairs were able to stall so much time that Standby was unable to help from the hatch, bought them enough time to be able to get that defuse, and that is something, again, the trust that all of the players have behind not only the call, but each other to make sure that we're just following the game plan is something that is so beautiful to see that a lot of teams, even at the top, struggled completing.
You know what I love more than a winning team? A team with players that have a personality.
For sure.
Because that is so great to see. And it goes very long way. But also the fact that they have 100%.
Yeah, the number one team right now in entry conversion. The only team with 100%. So obviously they're doing a very good job at once they get that opening kill, they're playing it slow. They're really following through with the preparation. And that extra practice has been paying dividends. Everyone's been saying dividends today. So
you really wanted to like be part of the crew and like put it in there and just like you didn't want to be left out.
Wanted to be a part.
You're doing great. SSG though, that's the roster that they're going up against. And if this was stage 1, I would be like, oh my gosh, Lax, they're going up against SSG, scary. They're gonna test them, they're gonna punish their mistakes, they got it going on. But it don't feel like that no more.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of gas left in that tank of SSGs. And, you know, it's not to say that SSG isn't a good team by any means, because when we look back at stage 1, we look at EWC, they performed exceptionally well. But hindsight is 20/20 in that sense, because when you look at SSG's performance throughout stage 1, you have to look back. A lot of that came back crawling back through a grueling overtime matches where they would win that one round that would set them apart from the other team and advance them. So if you're looking back at that, had that one round win in the other way of whatever team that they had lost or beat, then maybe we're in a situation where we aren't talking about SSG in the same sense and looking at them so drastically from stage to stage, performance to performance, because this is the stage 1 where you're seeing where they were at a 63%, and a stage 2 is a huge drop off in terms of, you know, you look at their attack, their defense, their entry, everything is plummeting. So again, it leaves the question of, had anything went different during stage 1, had they not qualified for EWC, had they not even made playoffs and got knocked out sooner due to those overtime resilience that we talked about time and time again, maybe we wouldn't be looking at this so critically like we are now. But especially given that this stage, they are not looking too hot. Everything has tanked since. And going into this matchup, which theoretically should be a win, we need to see some sort of life come out of SSG because we aren't getting anything that we've been seeing previously from stage 1 and, like I said, into EWC. So again, I really need to see all the players on each side really ramp up their performance.
And this is something that when a team gets to the top, they always have struggles with, is being at the top, because every single team is gunning for them. They're paying attention way more drastically to their strategy. So obviously, this is where great teams will separate themselves. If SSG can slowly pick themselves up and bounce back, they'll be in a good position for playoffs.
Yeah, and today really is that chance to do so. And starting things off, obviously, with the map veto specifically. Again, if this was stage 1, I'd be more worried for Envy when it comes to the maps that they're comfortable with. But what are we expecting here?
I mean, I think SSG just needs to stick to one of the smaller maps. I really do think the way they play is drastically based on the map. So I don't want to see a Lair. I don't want to see a Labs. Thank you. 2 bans right out the gate. I'd love to see a Bank ban as well, and then go to one of the breads and butter of SSG. Let's go to maybe a Border. Let's go to maybe a Clubhouse. Let's go to potentially a Chalet, because Envy is going to challenge you on those maps as well. But SSG, currently, historically, has the players that are able to... No, Bank. Oh,
Everything
brother.
you said just went down the...
It was looking so good. I was about to make the prediction of a lifetime. I don't like Bank for SSG, in my opinion. I know they can get fast on it, but they're that team that they're jumping down the skylights. They're pushing from all around the angles. I don't know. Envy's been really good at matching that head-to-head aggression on the 1v1s and also focusing on their teamwork to make sure that they're getting that advantage. So I don't like this for SSG.
I don't necessarily disagree with your view on Bank, but at the same time, I do think this does play into an SSG's favor, because when you look at last stage when they even played LFO on Bank, it was nothing but aggression when LFO tried even getting into the building, especially on that defensive end. Granted, they're starting on attack here, but that's the nice thing, is they are starting on attack. They can get the flow of comms going. They can make sure everything's, you know, crystal clear and concise in what they want to do, and then just fall back on that defense. So I'm not entirely against the aggression side of things here from SSG, but it is going to be on Envy to be able to match that aggression and also be able to tame it and control it when it's being implemented.
So when we're looking at the predictions here from both of you guys, are we leaning more Envy? Are we leaning more SSG? I think this is SSG's chance to really come back and prove themselves.
Yeah, it definitely is. I feel like Envy has the momentum. I really want to say I was skeptical picking them before seeing the map, but now knowing that it's Bank, I'm confident with that. I feel like SSG, their attacks can be hit or miss, but their defenses, that's where they're going to struggle, because they're not really a utility-heavy team. So if Envy is smart about that, rushing those plants, SSG is going to find themselves on the back foot on the easier side of defense, and that's not what we want to see, especially with starting on attack. They need to get as many rounds as possible, or else it's going to look grim when the sides fall.
And which I think for SSG's side of things, you know, given their performance yesterday, understanding where things went wrong on their defensive halves, that's the beauty of being able to start on attack, is that, you, like I said, you can get the flow of comms going early. So when you go on that defensive end, everything should be up to snuff. Everything should be up to par. So for me, like I said, it has to be SSG, just given the performance so far. Envy, I think even in their matchup versus LFO, it was really close than I thought it was actually going to be, given especially the performance from Standby today. So it doesn't leave me too confident that that was really the best testament for Envy, whereas today I think we'll really get the bigger picture to see where Envy is going to lie here. But I do think SSG overall does take it.
Okay, I like that there's a disagreement finally on the predictions between the two of you, so we'll see who is more right or wrong, because we are ready to head into our second game of today with our casters Extroika and Lynx, and maybe you guys can also let us know who you think is going to take this away.
Ginny, thank you very much indeed. I'm unsure at who will take it, but what I do want to stress is that this is the most important game of the night. Without a doubt, a match of the day here, Lynx.
Oh, definitely. And part of the reason why I think that is because SSG, obviously, if you haven't been paying attention to the schedule so far, only won one game, and it was a 7-5 over Standby back on day one. And the two teams they've lost to could be some pretty tough competition in the top 6. Wildcard and OXG, both teams who made it in only at like the 5-6 spots into playoffs last time. So we're at a point where SSG have Envy today, Cruelty next weekend, and then Cloud9 after. These are games that, based off last stage, they should be picking up, that they should be winning. But if they start dropping games here or dropping a lot of rounds like they did in the standby game, they could find themselves in a really difficult spot where they're fighting for like 5th, 6th by the end of the stage. And then all of a sudden, they got what? What's the first one? They got Dark Zero, then Shopify, then M80 as the final 3 games. They really need to start bouncing back here, because if they start dropping a game against Envy, this hole they're in, which happens in the first 4 days, might get a whole lot deeper.
I think it starts filling with water. Big old problem. SSG need to come out and they need to perform here. But on the flip side, I'm so pleased for Envy. I genuinely am. To see that team and where they've been inside of stage 1 to where they are now, okay, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's play day 4. Like, they haven't faced the most difficult competition. Obviously, the Cloud9 game, for me, that was their best result so far. Obviously, they also got the win over LFO Standby yesterday. We've seen the stamp of the LFO Standby team, and I think it's fair to say that Envy should be beating them. But for them to currently be sat at the top of the pops, 9 points is very impressive indeed. And regardless what happens here tonight, they have made a very good start to stage 2. That being said, Spacestation Gaming, they're a team that I always feel like they're a very brawler-based team. I think they do some of their best work when they are fighting with their back up against the wall. And it's not to say that they've got their back up against the wall here and now tonight, but it is one of those situations where they do need to be coming out and they do need to be putting on a good show for us. So we're going to be kicking things off on Bank. SSG on the attack. Very early track there onto Snake. Looks like Nuers isn't really looking to slow down. He will take a moment to drone. Nothing off that initial death mark placed onto Snake, but it has enabled some very quick map control to be gained right now.
Love the initiative from SSG. As you said, a very quick map control required. Benja already inside of Tellers. Newers already all the way on the 2nd floor. Logical consequence, Envy will start backing up. If you're not running like a castle or full extension setup on the mid floor, not a lot to be gained by staying here for a long time, especially if you don't have all that utility giving you cover to sit behind, giving you ways to slip out of engagements if the attack tries to get aggressive. So Envy play things right. Cade also left up, as I think was mentioned in the chat earlier, and no EMPs at the moment brought by the attacking side because they have a Maverick. They can just cut through them, which is what the Zoda will do. Cade 2Brow, quite a common lineup. But no Goyo will mean that a lot of work is being front-loaded on these hatches, and the burden, by and large, is falling on JJ with the Tachanka and Emilio on the smoke.
I think leaving Cade up's almost a bit of a bait, isn't it? Because you're going to play Maverick anyway.
Yeah.
So it kind of leads you into that position of, well, it's a bit of a dead pick. And like you say, you'd maybe be a bit happier with something else. Maverick's work in this round now is done, but we face what has become quite a hot topic. Tachanka on lockers. Obviously, in conjunction with a smoke, it does a fantastic job of some serious area denial. You can see that JJ can sit there with little consequence aside from Ashen hopping up. Now, Ashen's died for that, but that is by far and away the most important pick that he could have gotten, and a great way of dealing with that Tachanka. Now there's 25 seconds for SSG to convert this.
Such an SSG strat, just sacrifice your life to take down the Tachanka, and they go to the off-plant spot for extra security. The C4 and the smokes all go to default. J9O doesn't lose a single bit of HP, and Benja gets 2 kills on that execute. What a well-thought-out strat by SSG, starting off with, I think, a play that could only be made with the confidence these Space Station players have.
I absolutely love that from Ashen. There's one player that needs to die, and he's the one to do it, and he's going to lay his life down in the process. And he knows that without that play, the round is in tatters, because that Shumika can just rinse the rest of the time. Brilliant use of the smoke. Even more so because the smoke comes in and you're like, okay, now they're going to plant. Let's start sending everything through. And one of the big downsides with Tachanka, as good as that kit is, and it really is, it's fantastic. The area denial, it's second to none. It isn't the same as smoke with smoke's very specific plant denial, Tachanka, you won't typically deny a plant with it, you'll more deny an area with it. And if you can deny the area in through a breach or in through a doorway, then you're doing a fantastic job. Where Tachanka really falls down is that you've got to pull out a whole different launcher, a whole different weapons platform to deliver that Shoemaker. Whereas for a smoke, for example, it's a quick throw, detonate, and you're back into your SMG or you're back into your shotgun very quickly. There's no way that JJ can win that gunfight because he's got a Shoemaker in his hand. So even if he could see the glass, even if he got a glimpse, he's still not able to land the kill. Really is a sitting duck, and it's one of the only ways of dealing with him.
And I think we even, but not just to add a little bit extra to what you said, I think we even saw somebody like do that exact thing last week, and they were trying to take like the long fight instead of that close one. There's really, really good stuff from Space Station.
Located a bomb!
Now in the second round, Ashen not on glass this time. Instead, trying to spot some things through the floor with this IQ scanner. Sees the yokai, sees the player on cams by elevator. Just good. The entries from SSG have been so quick, not the kills, but just moving in so fast. Oh, you could see Ashen hungry for it. I don't think he can quite get the angle, but he'll open it up, throw a nade through the floor. He's got no idea. We'll force him out of elevator. And Rival's not going to retake that position. Just a small, clever solution. And Rival, no, you got out. But Chain, I know, ready for the retreat by the Echo. SSG really looking savvy on these attacks right now, as these solutions are ad hoc and yet so creative.
I was going to say the only way that would have made that Ashen play better is if he got the kill.
Oh my god.
Benja will be taken down. Not finished off just yet, though. Still a chance right now for a flawless. Tachanka, next player to fall. There it is. Ashen with the final two, just walks up those spiral stairs. Benja might have been downed, but he was not out. A flawless round for SSG. They've seriously done their homework, and Envy are back to looking like a shadow of their former self. They look like stage 1 Envy right now. They've had very little to say in this contest so far. It has all been SSG.
I've just loved everything they've done so far. I mean, it's just like, to be fair, I will say, you know, we see teams do like that glass smoke play, right? That's something I could also see M80 doing, and would be very much in their wheelhouse. And so part of it is that SG are also being given a lot of great opportunities by Envy to show why these kinds of plays are fun. Like why throwing a smoke right there, waiting for somebody to peek, is an action that, I mean, people have done since Glaz has had the ability to see through smoke. But it's something I think we've seen a lot of teams really do more consistently in the past 6 to 12 months. And plenty of teams do it, but SG are having opportunities, and it's basically winning or working for them every single time. But by the same token, like going below and throwing that nade through the hatch, we see it, but it's just very rare we see that coordination work so perfectly between Ashen and Jane, I know, on the window. Just a couple, I think, after what was, you know, let's be honest, a bit of a slow, bit of a boring game to start out. This has already been a really fun couple rounds, and Space Station are just making it a joy to watch at the moment.
Round number 3, back to the basement we go. Very different lineup from Envy this time. No denial. No Goyo, no Chanka, no smoke. Instead, we have things like a Scopos. We have a little bit of information in a Valkyrie. We have some frost mats. But very quickly, SSG have gotten themselves in to that server room, and they can start to see if they can catch anybody. Now, with these players off-site, it's all about that finding and that discovery, and a lot's going to be down to... Oh, hang on, Fultz is getting the plant down?
Okay, what? What's going on? Fultz getting the plant down. There's literally not a single bit of fight by Envy. They just found an opportunity, walked in, put the diffuser down, and that is that. The round's not done, of course. Envy can start fighting back, try to challenge Newers inside a garage. 2 different players consider taking that engagement. Very wisely, the Dokkaebi just backs up. Ashen waiting for a retake around blue. Rival full swings printer window, and that's the first bit of success Envy have. We'll try to go for another counter defuse. Saw a big play here yesterday. JJ will try to stick it. JJ will stick it. He's making it, and he gets it. No, he doesn't! Ashen with the buzzer beater DMR clip. 3 in a row. and just barely bring that one back.
Ashen got into server with about 15 seconds gone off the clock. Next thing you know, Fultz is in there as well. The breach is open, and there's a plank going down and a load of smoke. Like, Envy, hello? SSG are running rings around Envy right now. And let's be honest, Envy are just running through the motions. Like, yep, they've tried a very heavy denial-based round, didn't work. Tried to roam a little bit more, and forgot that they just left the biggest gap ever. And SSG are a team that really don't care about taking some fairly risky plays right now. Like, they'll just make that play. Because guess what? Sometimes that happens. Timeout right now for Envy. Need to do a little bit of soul searching between themselves at the moment, because this isn't something that they've really tasted so far during stage 2. We've seen them play well. We've seen them play a lot better than we saw in stage 1. But have we seen them come up against that same level of adversity and arguably their most difficult opponent so far of stage 2?
Yeah, they certainly have come up against some adversity, period, against C9 and Standby, 2 games that went all 12 rounds where they were tested. But as you said, this is definitely the best opponent they've faced so far. And this is the time where, as the desk said, is really going to be a big test. Okay, how much of that is strength of schedule and some good play combining as well, but strength of schedule, undeniably a factor, though it's not even necessarily the primary factor. But how much is it that? How much is it the play? What's the ratio here? And what does, admittedly, just this best of 1, but what does this best of 1 against SSG signify? And at least at the moment, as Envy tried to run bank back after their play against LFO or Standby LFO yesterday, SSG have some great answers and some great ideas for what to do against these Envy defenses. Open area next up in Envy's site rotation. Not a sight we've seen so far, as Envy have tried basement in rounds 1 through 3, CEO in the second. This will be the first time today, at least, we see this mid-floor defense.
It's a very standard lineup from SSG as well to deal with that open area site. Going to be taking a lot of soft breach. Got J90 on the shield. And you've got to take this top floor. Snake has got a really tough task ahead of him at the moment. You can see the drones starting to work their way through. Gets a freebie, but misses his chance. Benja smashes that shift key for all he's worth and drops down there on the rappel. Snake with a bit of a risky rotate there as well. We've already seen players suffer to that angle, especially now with the Monty coming up these stairs. Not going to be somewhere that Envy are willing to hold for too long. They are going to retreat a little bit deeper back in toward that janitor area, in and around stock and those marble stair.
Janino just trying to juggle all of these different bits of information, both those positions. Will move past the marble player. Bit of a tricky spot for the moment, but both defenders back up. Newer is on the rappel. With that information provided by Janino and the angle he created, down Snake, who's not really in a position to be revived by the defenders. His top is cut off, and Newers can watch the beepers position. And so there you go, Janino moves in for the finisher. Still a couple more players on this top floor. At least there were. Might have fallen back at this point, as, yes, drop back down the hatch. Full vertical and control of Spacestation.
SSG in that driver's seat once again. J90 can continue to work on through. He doesn't know that Aiden's there. Oh, it's the second time tonight we see a shield player just get stabbed in the back. Aiden doesn't even get punished for walking out there. Eventually should fall, but no. Benja with a kill onto Emilio as the next refrag. Aiden still at large right now.
Aiden still just catching SSG off guard. They finally feed enough bodies that Aiden is caught in a position where he cannot fall back. It's a 1-for-1 trade in that immediate instance. So SSG retained their advantage. But JJ has all 3 of his smokes. Rivals got that C4 and Zotos as well. With this low time, not a bit of utility that two Brows often have this late in the game. but means that once SSG start moving in, whether it's moving into the site to put the diffuser down or taking a gunfight, it could be thrown and they're slowed in the process, and that makes you so uncertain as an attacker. They won't even need it though. He's got all three. It's a 1v1 for Benja. 5 seconds to go. Has the intel on the two-brow. Flashbang out behind the printer. Takes a little bit, but Rival gets the kill. Envy withstand and hold on against SSG.
Big round there for Envy. It's unusual to see Benja not win those, but a lack of time and a lack of information. Eventually, Envy break what has been a very dominant performance so far from SSG. Even in this round, round number 4, I feel like the tipping point was Aiden just ratting out and being allowed to survive. Getting that second kill was just so crucial. He really, I mean, he should never have even gotten the first, to be honest with you. But to be allowed to get the second, that was the big nail in the coffin for SSG in round number 4. Envy, I guess, now can breathe a sigh of relief. Their tactical timeout has worked. They've been able to get a round off the back of it. Still, basement is going to be a problem site because we've seen them defend it twice in 2 very different ways and not have any success there. But that's a problem for next round. They are going to be defending the top floor right now. We see a little bit of Denari action coming in as well, Lynx.
Yes, we do. It is something that Envy brought out yesterday in their game against Envy. Also something we've just seen on the second floor generally. And it makes sense. I've not exactly seen this gigantic triangle right outside of stock, but we have seen teams on bank run those trips and try to lock off the hallway and janitor, also try to lock off stock generally. Really just to try to make that stock or position outside of stock behind the shield in the hallway a lot more playable. And I want to say when they brought Denari yesterday against Standby, it actually wasn't on CEO, if I recall correctly. No, it was. Never mind. They brought it actually one time on each side, coincidentally. But they did run I believe this exact lineup, except instead of a mute, it was a smoke yesterday.
I've got a bit of a slideshow thing going on at the moment, so I'm not much use, I'm afraid.
Well, that's fine. You don't need to worry about it. It's a CEO hold. What's gonna happen? Okay, well, that happened. Aiden, I think, got lost in the sauce because of that flashbang and ran in front of the window. So while you only lose the castle, you do go down to the 5v4 with nothing really gained in the process. SSG focusing on the util clear. On this side of the map on the rappel, Rival just swings to the other side of that Kiba. Yeah, you expect the Azami to be playing in this position where that castle was. Rival on low health, I was about to say, one firebolt goes out. You die to that, you die to the bullets. That's the choice Rival had, but death was certain either way. SSG are just getting kill after kill at the moment, all by sitting on rappel. I'm really worried if this stock shield falls, things could get really bad. But honestly, the bigger worry might be whether it even matters if it falls or not.
Well, SSG have got an advantage right now, but it's difficult to see how they're going to be able to leverage it. There's no real denial at the moment in the hands of Envy. But their position is very well telegraphed. They're all on the rappel. The only player that is in a slightly better position could maybe be Newers. J9O going to start to drone up these spiral stairs. There's still going to be the barbed wire at the top to deal with. Newers very worried about what's happening inside of stock at the moment, and Fultz with no cameras to watch isn't a great sign. 38 seconds, not a lot of time, especially when you start thinking about the location some of these defenders could be, but this is going to be a skylight drop in the midst of fire and smoke, if ever I've seen one. Nade goes out, that's going to remove the player, but Newers down, not a good one.
No, not a good one, but still one that SSG, always the chaotic team, ever the scrappy bunch, will get the kills required. A lot coming down to Benja's run up main, or marble, excuse me, working. The stock player being distracted by the push in from square, so Benja can get the kill behind him. J9O also getting one kill of his own, I believe, over on the rappel. I'm not entirely sure. But it came down to that late round push, despite the buffer created early on, despite the advantage gained. I mean, a really, really strong clear right there in the first half of the round. Comes down to the final 20 seconds to J9O and Benja getting these couple kills, but Benja specifically with that run at Marble. It was well coordinated. Again, like I said, you have the distraction and Benja being the closer coming in from Marble. But not quite how I thought that round was going to end when I saw how good the setup was and how good the beginning of that round was.
Yeah, strange one, really. I think SSG did a really good job of salvaging it. But that's the kind of team they are. Like, they don't look at 35 seconds left on the clock and start panicking, do they? They know that they can operate in that amount of time. Envy on the flip side. Back down to the basement we go for a third attempt. Again, another attempt and another lineup. We've sort of gone for is it a bit of a halfway house this time? There's not quite the same level of denial as we've seen previously. There's only a smoke. Still no Vulcan packs. But there's not also a wealth of roamers. It's not like they're playing the Scopos where we saw, you know, in round number 3, they tried that and that just left a huge gap. It's like they're probably sat there wondering what do we do? Because if we roam, we're leaving a gap. If we stay on site, I would have personally gone back to the first option because I think that Tachanka's super viable and Ashen doesn't hit that shot every single time.
Also, like, if you want my opinion, which, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you want it or not, I'm going to give it. I'm talking. But a lot of I would say some of the key operators we see banned on the defense aren't. Not that the SSG's bans are bad. They're perfectly fine. But, like, Castle Azami's still up, which are two of the most important operators if you want to extend it to open area. And then, like, Goyo, Smoke, and Tachanka are all still up, which are two of the most important, or, like, some of the most important operators to run on, like, a traditional basement turtle. So, like, important operators are taken off the board by SSG, but a lot of, like, the mainline holds of basement are almost entirely still intact. I mean, even something like Fenrir's up, too. It is a bit strange that Envy are kind of going for this style of play specifically, because when you look at the objective they've achieved, they've plugged up that hole in blue. But was the hole in blue really all that impactful? I mean, well, yes, it was. They won the round off of it, but, like, did we have to dedicate so many resources to blue specifically? Maybe it'll work. It could. It's an obstacle they have to overcome, and you can clearly see SSG are struggling with it. And I think if Envy have really good success here, they'll be very glad that they ran it. But yeah, SSG figure out a solution to the Azami behind server real quick.
It's a little bit strange, isn't it? Aiden now in a pretty impossible position.
All the smoke's used.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you may as well use him because he's probably going to die here. It really is only just a matter of time at the moment. J9O finds a kill over onto Snake. Snake having a bit of a stinker. Another knife kill.
Dude, we have seen how many knife kills have we seen this season? We've seen so many knife kills this season. I don't know what's going on. It's literally just chance. We've seen so many knife kills. This round's done, by the way. Like, Emilio is not winning this. I'm just going to call that now. Yeah, there we go. Somebody on the hatch, diffuser down. Require a pretty monumental throw by SSG, and they won't give it. 5-1.
SSG, what can you say about this team? And the thing is, it's 3 very viable ways of defending downstairs as well. Like, full plant denial is a viable way. A little bit of a roam game, it can work on its day. And then holding servers with an Azami. I mean, that's something that teams have been doing for ages. G2 love that one. Doki playing the Azami inside a server on the stairs can be a great little spot to play. And each one has just been taken to bits by SSG so far. Great first phase for him. Adesquia maybe didn't give SSG as much credit as they've come to deserve. Obviously, hindsight is a wonderful thing. But they have dominated that first phase. And now they've given themselves quite an easy jog toward that finish line.
Yeah, I was worried about them. Well, not worried that they would fall into the hole. But like, hey, there's a hole they could fall into, and SSG were like, we're just gonna step over that. Not worried about it. I mean, bouncing back quite nicely after their 7-3 loss to OXG yesterday. Of course, that loss came on Border, a map that we've often talked about as a stronghold for Spacestation, though kind of the heyday of their time on this map is a little bit
you know what I think about
the
whole Border SSG thing?
Before you say it, I do think it's a little bit of an old talking point now.
I think it's an old talking point, but I also think it's a good thing that they're moving on from it. Because I don't think that being good at border is the mark of a good team. Because it can be very 50-50, it can be very random. I think I'd much rather a team have a great lair, for example, like SR. I feel like that's worth more than a great border. Just because on the day, anyone can pop off and it means that you have a good border. I think it shows a little bit more character and a bit more depth that, you know, maybe that is a map that they've potentially outgrew a little bit.
And also forced to outgrow it when teams ban a map against you for so long, or you don't bring a map for so long. I mean, it's kind of natural that, you know, your skills kind of atrophy on it. Not saying theirs did. It's just kind of like that, kind of a consequence that happens when you don't play a map on game day a lot. Then you focus on other things. It's kind of a natural consequence of the other team's fear of bringing you on. I think it's something similar happening with, it was like Sonic Chalet back in the day. You know, got banned against them a lot. Stop playing it as much, and eventually gets brought back out. At that point, it's either you win it or you start losing it. Then if you start losing it, gets played a bit more. Anyway, this is a whole tangent. But we'll see how Envy managed to do on their attacks. Fortunately, poor performances across the board for the team at the moment. It's been SSG's game through and through. And fully dedicating themselves to this turtle hold. I mean, we got all the pieces we were kind of talking about. The Goyo, the Tachanka, no smoke, but Tuberao, very common. Echo, not uncommon, certainly. Warden, very normal on blue stairs. This is kind of, this is not the default, but this is certainly a default basement hold.
It's a better one, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say different, I think a little better than what Envy were doing. You don't bet so much on a server.
I love the addition of these yokais to assist as well, because, yeah, you might expect there to be a yokai, but you don't expect there to be a yokai in square stairs. And look at what Ashen's able to do with this. He's constantly getting fed this information. He might even go for a challenge here, knowing Ashen.
Oh, knowing Ashen, yeah, he goes for, oh, well, he goes for a challenge, but unfortunately, I think he underestimates the fuse time on that nade. Thankfully, it's only 45 seconds left, so if Ashen's going to go down, you'd like to see him take somebody with him, but a lot of time has already been spent clearing that out. And there's plenty of utility on site that can do the talking for Space Station. ROU projectors blocking off these angles, but look at all those lineups Jane I know has. Still that Vulcan pack, no Twitch being brought by Envy. No nades, well, 2 set of nades, but used on the blue stairs position. So all these Vulcan packs are still there. It seems like Envy will try to go for an off spot. Not close to the wall, but instead all the way up on the rack. Yokai trying to find a way in. Folt's unable to do so. And Envy will get the post plant successfully. No kills done in the process. It's not flashy whatsoever, but as long as they can hold on, keep these angles intact, Envy have a very solid start to their attacking side. There we go. 5v1. Yeah, this is not happening.
Fultz, 18 seconds. We've seen some great things this week in NAL. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be one for Fultz. Just not enough time to get the job done. And JJ can swing on in and pick up that final kill. Envy doing a really good job of getting it done there. I love how they committed to dealing with Ashen. Regardless of the amount of information that Ashen had, it's all kind of worth nothing. You're just sort of a spectator watching your teammate die at that point. Because the hatch is open, because there's nades coming through, because there's bees getting sent at you. If you look at it from the Envy point of view, it was a brilliant way of dealing with that player on blue. And it was a very safe way as well. Nua's getting taken out by Rival as he attempted the flank. I mean, once the plant's gone down, you pretty much have to flank because there's no way that you're going to win the post fighting up through those hatches. So good job from Envy. Keeps SSG away from that map point. They've got to do it again and again and again if they want to try and level things up right now. SSG, they're not going to be feeling too hard done to at losing that round downstairs, and they're going to stick to their rotation. They still have a timeout if they want to use that as well. And I think a surprise at this point is we've not really spoken about bans much tonight. Obviously, it's become quite a predictable sort of topic of conversation. But you look at the bans with the Bandit and the Cade, it's very centered around making that locker site very safe. Sorry, the Cade and the Blitz. It's very centered around making that locker site very safe. But it doesn't do really much to help you as an attacker when you're attacking this top floor, because you're not really going to use a Cade. Yeah, the mirror is. The mirror is a great UPC utility. But I maybe just feel like Envy have sort of tunneled on to something a little bit more there. And as we saw with SSG, just play the Maverick.
Not a complicated solution, is it? Just run the map, bring the torch. Job done.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. It's kind of what Envy are trying to do, at least keep it standard. Kind of know what the game plan is here. Thermite those office walls and run the OSA in, or OSA repels in on the CEO windows. We've been here before. We've seen this novel before. Focus on stock a little bit too, you know. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. So they will do their best. Just do what SSG did. I'll be in a different position. Just probe a little bit, throw some utility, see if Newers decides to get aggressive, and then make something happen after the fact.
Really nice also shield from JJ. I like that getting into the top of square. Good bit of information being gathered again. Fultz is a menace on this Echo. Gets those yokai drones all over the place. And JJ has taken a little pinch of damage from that info as well. It's going to be shaping up for a very square-sided push at the moment, though. Emilio could look to try and move in and start to get something open right now. There are going to be a couple of impacts, though, so an impact trick is on the cards. I'm not sure that Fultz is in the right position to do it. He's still entrenched in those cameras. Instead, it's going to be a drop from Benja. He does have a C4. It's a hefty C4 lineup here from SSG. And he's also got a little bit of information to assist him as well. Fultz is just running laps around the map at the moment in these yokai drones.
Honestly, SSG's setups on attack and defense have just been so well thought out. You can see all the protocols for every eventuality. But let's see if it works. Oh, right on cue. I couldn't even get the question out. Benja already gets in position. Sure, I think gives himself up after that. But detonates the C4. Diffuser down. Yokai already in position to deal with this. The Thermite does spot it, but there's another one! He's moved it into square. There was a guy down there, and they miss it completely. Newer's now wrapping around, going for a flank. There is critical redundancy after critical redundancy for Space Station. That's a crazy shot from Aiden. In a crazy moment we find ourselves in. Fashion just around the corner. Oh no! He gets it! That came a whole lot closer than I think it warranted, as SSG have thought all the way to plan Z in these rounds.
They're going to have to start using numbers as well, because you can see Call Out typing frantically there. He's like, it wasn't good enough. We didn't have enough redundancy there. We need to start going through not only plan A to Z, but we also need to start adding some numbers into the mix as well. Really close stuff. But again, it just comes down to that redundancy, and often that's what Siege is about. It's about having a good and solid backup plan, because the first plan, it's only ever going to work for so long. Eventually it's going to get found out, and sometimes it just plain isn't going to work, and you're going to be forced into making that adaptation. And there's no better adaptation than preparing it early on in practice when the stakes are far lower and you can make much better decisions and understand how you want to use it. Fultz's use of Echo tonight has been fantastic. So much so, for me, it would warrant a ban playing against SSG on this map. Like, I genuinely think it would be worth removing that operator from him, just so that there's a lack of information because of how valuable it's been, not only in the previous round, but in others as well.
Honestly, you know what my takeaway is from tonight so far? Just like, just a masterclass from some of our top teams.
Yeah.
Like, really, I look at the Shopify standby game. Obviously, you know, you could focus on standby, you could focus on MD right now. But the thing that, the highlight for me is Shopify, so put together in a game that they should look well put together in. SSG looks so well put together in a game they should be well put together in. They have great adaptations on their attack, great gap spotting at the beginning, showing a variety of ways to take sites. Here, on their defenses, they're showing multiple layers, multiple contingencies, given whatever situation they face. Ways to make those plans more likely to succeed, especially revolving around, as you highlighted, Fultz's yokais. Now, in this case, while he can't move them, the black eye cameras will still give a lot of information. This is really good stuff. Just the top team is looking very strong at the moment. And by at the moment, I mean on this particular day in these particular games. Oh, no.
I'd feel a bit risky, that JJ, from turning his back onto that. Ashen, surely a freebie.
Yep, there we go. How about
Oh, he
another?
gets another. Oh, he nearly got the next one as well. I don't know why JJ just turned his back to it all.
Didn't see Newers walk in. Unfortunately, got a little too loose with it. And JJ's got to be careful right now. He's lost his support. Rest of the attack's on the opposite side. There's nobody to trade him if he pushes up too far, so he's got to be careful. SSG are likely going to fall back in this position, and indeed they will. So Envy have full vertical control, but Benja isn't satisfied with a good thing.
It's 12-4 at the moment, Benja. He's having one of those games. Like, I think Benja's come under a little bit of criticism as, you know, in terms of just getting lost on this roster. And I think it's because of the quality of players that he's with, but also he hasn't been himself in some ways and some of the plays that we're used to seeing him make. Tonight, he's definitely looking a little bit better, and he's going to have to be better in this round in particular, given that SSG have lost 2 opening deaths there. Fultz and J90 both down. Benja trying to get a long shot over onto JJ there, but just can't land the finishing blow. More drones working ahead of JJ. Can move through now. You can see he's pinged out where he wants to try and put this plant down. I'm not sure if he's going to be given the space to do it, though.
Oh, that's a big fight for Ashen. Rotate into Tellers on the back line. There's one. Neither goes his way. He's still running under the vert, still finding these weird little moments. But JJ backs up ADS. Newers on for 2. No way he wins this in the 1v1 on time. Rivals upstairs! That's it, 7-2. Newers with a 1v4. And our top teams tonight just cannot be beat.
Ashen might be the smartest player in the world for that play. There was so low time left, and he recognized he was just caught in absolute no man's land. What's the best thing to do? Just run at people. Just run at them and scare them and make them think that you're an absolute lunatic and buy 1 or 2 seconds for your teammate in Newers. SSG, a great win there over on Bang. We're going to cut to our desk.
Going to the door, inner door.
Flag on him. Peek, hop on flag. Flag, BB.
Top down.
Mini edge. Oh, you're the goat.
Nice.
Fucking shit, boys. Dude, I just started
Go,
sprinting
go,
with a
go.
fucking deagle, bro. What the
God
fuck's going
damn,
on?
bro. Good shit, boys.
That's how we play.
SSG bounces back in a dominant fashion against Envy after 2 losses in a row. This is exactly what we wanted to see from the roster, and this is what we got. So let's bring Fultz over to have a little bit of a conversation about what has been happening so far here on the second stage of the NAL. First off, congratulations. A very great, dominant win against Envy. But I would really like to know, like, what's different between the SSG that we're seeing right now and the one that we had in stage 1 when it comes to that consistency.
I think our issues so far this stage have been like trouble like getting the ball rolling. Because I think we're a very good team when we have the momentum, but something we're trying to work on is, you know, finding that spark and getting the momentum going in our favor, even when, you know, things aren't going to plan.
Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely had the momentum today. I would say it looked like there was a little bit of, like, you know, not disrespect, but you guys didn't necessarily, you were playing confident. You know, you didn't necessarily think in the way you guys played that the other team was competing against you guys. I just wanted to say in that position where it feels like you are just, you know, in that moment that you're so much better than the other team, how do you keep yourselves from, you know, having little mishaps like, you know, maybe a Monty walking past the guy in a corner? How do you guys reel that in so that doesn't happen often?
Yeah, after yesterday's game, we kind of talked about like how we need to remember who we are. Like we have like one of the best rosters in the whole world talent-wise, and if we really just simplify things down and play the game at just like a fundamental level and, not force the aggressive stuff when it's not there. There's like not really many teams that can beat us. And then to answer your question with the lower teams, I've been spanked by lower teams too many times to not give them credit they deserve. So I kind of treat them all the same.
I was going to kind of ask something similar to that. Obviously, losing to Wildcard, losing then to Oxygen, following up, I was curious like if that kind of sort of created a mental block in terms of your guys' performance of like kind of losing the identity that we all know and love from the SSG roster, which like I said is the tenacity, the ferocity, the constant aggression you guys have where, yeah, I mean, that kind of really was the question was, did that kind of, impact the overall performance from day to day? Then today you guys felt like your normal selves.
Yeah, we've been a roster, at least aside from newers, for a very long time now. And when you've been a roster for this long, there's so many things you want to add and like keep evolving. But once you do that, sometimes you fall off with the fundamentals and really like lose sight of things. And I think that's kind of some of the things we talked about earlier today. Just going back to the basics, staying in sync, and just continuing to improve every day without losing sight of all that stuff, because it's just as important as trying to do meta changes or pace swaps, whatever the case.
For sure.
Yeah, today was a step in the right direction as well for you guys. So my question then is, the final one here is, when it comes to next week, what's the prep for that looking like?
I think we're going to work on, just kind of getting things smoothed out on our end. On the defense side especially, we've had some tough defensive halves. So we're going to smooth some stuff out, and then maybe a couple of days before the matches we'll start to look at prep. But the biggest thing is kind of fixing the mistakes that we're making.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time, and once again, congratulations on the win here today. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you around.
Thank you. See you guys.
You were wrong. Like, your prediction was wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what'd you think went wrong for Envy?
I mean, I think what went wrong for Envy is, they kind of look like they just got torn apart.
I think it came down to actually playing against an opponent that was not going to let you get away with a lot of the things that you could get away with a team like Cruelty, that you get away with Cloud9, that you could get away with a team like Standby. But again, going up against upper echelon rosters, you're not going to be able to walk away with certain things.
There was still some areas where Envy tried to do a lot of stuff like that, where they just had individual players holding positions alone, trying to play almost rank-esque, but obviously SSG was quick to respond to it and quick to take advantage. Yeah, this is the round I was talking about. I mean, I think, like, obviously when you're up 3-0, sometimes you're skipping corners. I feel like the SSG confidence definitely carried the momentum throughout this game, but at the same time, those little mistakes need to be limited, because Envy was trying to go for all kinds of plays similar to that, hiding in corners, trying to just buy time, individualize. It didn't look like the Envy that we're used to seeing, but at the same time, I do say that there is glimpses of Envy's individual performance. Like, their confidence is there to be able to keep up with a team like SSG. I just think their discipline lacked a little bit.
I think what's kind of frustrating is similar to a sentiment with Standby is not switching up things that you just recently did from map to map. Like, you just recently played Bank the other day, and in a few of those defensive rounds from Envy, they were repeating the exact same setups, the exact same movement between the mid to late rounds where SSG was just ripping them apart. And that's kind of the experience versus the inexperience.
100%.
Is yes, you're going to go with what makes you comfortable, what has been working, but the reality is when you're going against a top team that knows how to adapt, that knows how to change up their play style, that can fix, that can problem solve, this is where you're always going to lose to. You're going to lose to yourself in that sense, because you aren't taking that initiative to correct those mistakes. And honestly, sometimes it's just moving one piece of the puzzle around, bringing a different operator, changing one thing of the setup that really can throw off certain attacks, or just even throw off a blueprint that a team has on you of understanding, okay, this is how they're going to play it. And I think that's honestly where Envy fell short more than any other part in this matchup, was just their lack of being able to adapt and identify, being able to shift things around.
Yeah, and for Envy side of things as well, this is like one of those games that you can look at and be like, okay, these are the mistakes that we made. This is what we need to tighten up when it comes to the next week, because of course, like, SSG is not going to be the only upper echelon team that they're going to be going up against. There are quite a few still down on that schedule that they do have. So a learning opportunity for the roster here as well. But for you guys at home, Rally specifically is going to be starting from September 19th. And there's going to be game nights every week from Friday to Sunday, where you can participate individually and you'll be queued into teams, gaining points points on a leaderboard based on your own performance. For team participations, there is going to be Rally Cups every 2 weeks on Saturdays specifically. And the rally points from the finals will be played on December 12th. Something to keep in mind, 2 teams with the top 10 players from the individual leaderboard of the regular season will be competing for the $10,000 prize pool that's going to be distributed against the game nights, the rally cups, and the rally point finals. If you want to find out more, make sure to join the Discord, or you can get more information on radiant.gg/R6 rally point. And this is at this point where you two say what you always say.
Did you find a team yet?
Yeah,
or
there
are
we
you
go.
still at LFT?
Anyways,
You guys are trying to
for you
find a
guys
team.
at home, we have another game coming your way. The third best of one of today, C9 against Cruelty. Both of these teams are towards the bottom of that leaderboard looking to gain some invaluable points, and that's going to be coming up after the break.